My boss called me into his office on a Tuesday morning. Told me I had 2 weeks to train my replacement. He handed me $10,000 cash and said, "Teach them everything you know. Do it right or you're done here." I smiled, shook his hand and said, "Of course. I'll teach them everything." I kept my word. I taught them everything. This is a story about what happens when loyalty means nothing, when years of dedication get repaid with a pink slip and a handshake. It's about the fine line between following instructions and following them a little too well. You'll learn why documentation matters, why shortcuts exist for a reason, and why some lessons are best learned the hard way. Most importantly, you'll see what happens when someone who built the entire system decides to teach someone else how to run it their way. My name is Emily, and for 6 years I was the backbone of Sterling Tech Solutions. I wasn't the CEO, wasn't management, wasn't even a senior analyst. I was the operations coordinator, the person who made everything work. When I started, the company had 12 employees and revenue of about $2 million a year. By year 6, we had 70 employees and were pulling in $23 million annually. I built every system we used: inventory tracking, client management, the entire workflow from order to delivery. My boss, Marcus, was a sales guy. Brilliant at closing deals, terrible at operations. He knew it too. "Emily, I don't know how you do what you do," he'd say every quarter when the numbers came in strong. "This company would collapse without you." I believed him. I worked 60-hour weeks. Came in on weekends. Answered emails at midnight. I trained every new hire, fixed every crisis, smoothed over every client complaint. The warning signs were there, but I missed them. Marcus started asking more questions about my processes. Started sitting in on my training sessions with new employees. Started taking notes. Then came the restructuring announcement. "We're bringing in fresh talent," Marcus said at the all-hands meeting. "Optimizing operations." I actually felt proud. I thought he meant expanding my team. I was so wrong. 3 weeks after that meeting, Marcus called me into his office. There was a young guy sitting there, probably 24 years old, wearing an expensive suit and a confident smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Emily, this is Trevor," Marcus said. "He's going to be taking over operations." The floor dropped out from under me. Taking over? We're moving in a new direction. Trevor has an MBA from Stanford, fresh perspectives on operational efficiency. You'll train him for 2 weeks, then we'll transition you to a consultant role. Consultant role. That's corporate speak for "you're fired but we need you a little longer." I looked at Trevor. He was scrolling through his phone, barely paying attention. This kid had probably never managed a single real crisis in his life. "I see," I said quietly. "And after the 2 weeks?" Marcus slid an envelope across the desk. $10,000. Trainee bonus. Plus your severance, of course. All you have to do is teach Trevor everything. Everything. 6 years of knowledge. 6 years of late nights and weekend emergencies and systems I built from scratch. Teach it all to this kid in 2 weeks. I thought about refusing. Thought about walking out. Thought about telling Marcus exactly what I thought of his fresh perspectives. That I smiled. Picked up the envelope. Shook Trevor's hand. "I'll teach him everything," I said. And I meant it. The first week I was the perfect trainer. Patient, thorough, detailed. I showed Trevor every system, every process, every workflow. I gave him my documentation, my notes, my emergency contact list. Trevor barely looked up from his phone. Yeah, I got it," he'd say. "This is pretty basic stuff. I streamlined way more complex operations at my last internship." Internship. This kid's biggest accomplishment was an internship. But I kept teaching. Kept showing him everything. And I made sure to answer every single question he asked. Stay with me. What happens next will shock you. On day 4, Trevor asked me about the inventory system. Why do you track units in 3 different places? Seems redundant. It's a backup system, I explained. The main database, the spreadsheet, and the physical count. If one goes wrong, we have 2 others. He smirked. That's pretty inefficient. I just used the database. The database crashed last year. We lost 2 days of orders. The backup saved us. Sounds like you need a better database. I smiled. You're probably right. You should definitely streamline that. I watched him make a note. Perfect. On day 7, he asked about client communications. You send like 5 reminder emails for every order. Isn't that overkill? Some clients need more reminders than others. Mrs. Patterson, for example, she's elderly and sometimes forgets. She appreciates the extra touch points. Trevor rolled his eyes. We're not a babysitting service. 1 confirmation email should be enough. If they can't remember, that's on them. You're right, I said. Much more efficient your way. He made another note. Excellent. By day 10, Trevor had stopped taking notes entirely. I think I've got the hang of it, he announced. This isn't rocket science. No, I agreed. It's not. Marcus pulled me aside that afternoon. How's the training going? Great, I said honestly. Trevor's learning everything. Very confident. Very efficient. I think he's going to bring a lot of fresh energy to the role. Marcus beamed. I knew this would work out. You're handling this so professionally, Emily. A lot of people would be bitter. Oh, I'm not bitter at all, I said. And I wasn't. I was something else entirely. You won't believe where this goes. On my second to last day, Trevor asked me about the supplier relationships. You have this weird system where you call them every Monday morning. Why not just email? The Monday calls keep the relationships strong, I explained. Our suppliers give us priority shipping, better prices, first access to limited inventory. That doesn't happen through email. He laughed. That's old school relationship stuff. Everything's transactional now. They'll give us good service if we pay them. That's how business works. You're absolutely right, I said. Very modern thinking. He didn't call them Monday. Or the next Monday. Or ever, as far as I know. My last day arrived. Marcus handed me my severance check. Trevor didn't even look up from his computer to say goodbye. Good luck, Trevor, I said at the door. I taught you everything you need to know. Thanks, he said, already forgetting I existed. I walked out of Sterling Tech Solutions at 3:47 p.m. on a Friday afternoon. I didn't look back. Here's what I didn't tell Trevor. Here's what I taught him perfectly, exactly as he asked. I taught him to use only the main database. Just like he wanted. I didn't mention that the database has a memory leak and crashes every 6 to 8 weeks under heavy load. I didn't mention that you have to manually export the data every Friday, because the automatic backup fails 30% of the time. I taught him to send 1 confirmation email. Just like he wanted. I didn't mention that our client base includes 27 elderly customers who need multiple reminders, 15 international clients in different time zones who need customized communication schedules, and 8 corporate accounts with specific protocol requirements spelled out in their contracts. I taught him to treat supplier relationships as purely transactional, just like he wanted. I didn't mention that our priority status with Anderson Logistics saves us approximately $45,000 a year in shipping costs. I didn't mention that our first access arrangement with Chin Manufacturing gives us inventory that our competitors can't get. I taught him every shortcut he asked for. Every efficiency he wanted. Every modern simplification of my old school methods. I taught him exactly what he wanted to learn. What I didn't teach him was why all those inefficiencies existed. Why the redundant systems mattered. Why the extra communications were essential. Why relationships trump transactions. This is where it gets good. Keep watching. I didn't have to sabotage anything. I didn't have to lie. I didn't have to break any rules or do anything unethical. I just had to let him learn the hard way. I went home that Friday and I waited. I updated my resume. I reached out to old colleagues. I had 3 job interviews lined up within a week. And I waited for my phone to ring. The first call came on a Tuesday. Week 3 of Trevor's tenure. It was Sarah from accounting. Emily, I know you don't work here anymore, but do you know where the backup inventory files are? The database crashed and Trevor says you didn't leave any backups. I left them in the shared drive, I said. The folder called Redundant Systems. There was a pause. Trevor deleted that folder. Said it was unnecessary duplication. Oh, I said. Well, I'm sorry, Sarah. I don't work there anymore. You'll have to ask Trevor. She hung up, sounding panicked. The next call came 2 days later. Marcus. His voice was tight. Emily, we need your help. We've got a client situation. I'm sorry, Marcus, I don't work there anymore. Mrs. Patterson is threatening to leave. She says she hasn't received any communication about her order in 3 weeks. She thinks we forgot about her. Did Trevor send her the confirmation email? He says he did. 1 email, just like protocol. Then I'm sure it's fine, I said. Mrs. Patterson probably just missed it. She's one of our oldest clients, Emily. 76 years old. She's been with us for 8 years. I know, I said. I handled her account personally every week. But I don't work there anymore and I'm sure Trevor has it under control. Marcus hung up without saying goodbye. The calls kept coming. Week 5, Anderson Logistics ended our priority shipping agreement. Trevor had been ignoring their Monday calls, treating every interaction as a pure transaction. They moved us to standard service. Shipping costs increased immediately. Week 6, Chin Manufacturing gave our first access inventory slot to a competitor. Trevor had told them we wanted a more professional arm's-length relationship. They were happy to oblige. Week 7, the database crashed under peak load. It took them 4 days to rebuild the order history from fragmented backups. They lost 73 orders entirely. Had to call every client manually to reconstruct what had been purchased. Week 8, 3 corporate clients filed contract violation complaints. Trevor's single confirmation email approach violated their agreed-upon communication protocols. Legal got involved. Wait until you hear what happened next. Week 9, Marcus called again. It was 11 p.m. on a Saturday. Emily. His voice cracked. I need your help. Please. I'm begging you. I sat in my new apartment in my new city, in my new job that paid 40% more than Sterling Tech ever had. I looked at my phone and I made a decision. What's wrong, Marcus? Everything's falling apart. Clients are leaving. Suppliers won't work with us. The systems are broken. Trevor quit yesterday. Said it was too complex, too old-fashioned, that the company was poorly structured. I see. I made a mistake. He was actually crying. I made a terrible mistake. I thought fresh perspectives would improve things, but you were holding everything together. All those systems I thought were inefficient, they were necessary. All those relationships I thought were old-fashioned, they were the foundation. I stayed quiet. Please come back. I'll double your salary. I'll make you a partner. I'll give you whatever you want. Just please help me fix this. I thought about it. I really did. Thought about going back. Thought about the satisfaction of walking back into that office as an owner instead of an employee. Then I thought about Trevor's smirk. About Marcus's confidence that a 24-year-old MBA could replace 6 years of institutional knowledge. About how they never once asked me what I thought about the restructuring. No, I said quietly. Emily. I taught Trevor everything he needed to know, Marcus. Everything he asked me to teach him. If that wasn't enough, that's not my failure. That's yours. I hung up. Sterling Tech Solutions lost 40% of its revenue over the next 6 months. Marcus had to lay off 30 employees. He sold the company 18 months later for a fraction of what it was worth. Trevor's LinkedIn says he's currently exploring opportunities and open to new challenges. His Stanford MBA doesn't mention his 3-month disaster at Sterling Tech. As for me, I'm now Director of Operations at Vertex Systems. They found me through a former colleague who recommended me. I told them everything about Sterling Tech in the interview. What I built, how it worked, why it mattered. They hired me immediately. Gave me a team of 6. Asked for my input on every major decision. Actually valued the knowledge I brought. I built similar systems here. Redundant backups. Strong supplier relationships. Personalized client communications. All the inefficiencies that Trevor thought were outdated. We've grown 37% in 2 years. Our client retention rate is 94%. Our suppliers give us terms that our competitors can't match. And here's the beautiful irony. 3 months ago, Vertex acquired what was left of Sterling Tech Solutions. The whole company, all its assets, all its client list. Marcus works for us now. He reports to me. I saw him in the hallway last week. He couldn't meet my eyes. I didn't gloat. Didn't say, I told you so. Didn't need to. I just asked him how his Monday morning supplier calls were going. He turned red and walked away. So what can you learn from this? First, institutional knowledge has value. Those systems that seem inefficient, they usually exist for a reason. Processes that look outdated often solve problems you haven't encountered yet. Before you eliminate something, understand why it was created. Second, relationships matter more than transactions. The suppliers who gave us priority shipping didn't do it because of our payment terms. They did it because I called them every Monday for 6 years. Because I remembered their kids' names. Because when they had problems, I helped solve them. You can't automate trust. Third, there's a difference between teaching and knowledge transfer. I taught Trevor exactly what he asked me to teach him. But learning a job isn't just about learning the steps. It's about understanding the context, the history, the reasons behind every decision. Fourth, some lessons cost more than others. Trevor could have asked why I did things a certain way. Could have been humble enough to learn before he innovated. Instead, he assumed experience was the same as outdated thinking. That mistake cost Marcus millions. Fifth, never underestimate the quiet ones. The people who make everything work are usually the ones nobody notices until they're gone. If someone is holding your organization together and you don't realize it, you'll find out the expensive way. I didn't have to sabotage Trevor. I didn't have to lie or cheat or break any rules. I just had to let him be exactly as smart as he thought he was. Here's what happened. Marcus replaced institutional knowledge with an MBA. Trevor eliminated inefficiencies without understanding their purpose. I taught him everything he asked to learn. He learned why those systems existed when they failed. The company collapsed, I thrived, and I eventually acquired what was left. The lesson? Sometimes the best revenge is just getting out of the way and letting people learn from their own mistakes. If this resonated with you, you know what to do. And if you've ever been the inefficient one who held everything together, I see you. You're not outdated. You're essential. They'll figure that out eventually. Usually right after you leave.